Okay, give me a go on it. Oh, okay. I think we're live.
Yes.
All right. Great. So, hello, everyone, ACLU friends and supporters, and potential Utah voters. We're excited to be talking about elections today and our very first Ask Me Anything about voting. I know it's kind of weird that we're like, ask me anything about voting. So my name is Nikki. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the voting rights coordinator at the ACLU of Utah. I've been running our voting rights campaign for a little over a year, and we are full swing into election season, so it's more important than ever that we're getting important info out to voters on how to navigate the system. And to do that, to help me out, I've got Jocelyn here to talk with you guys as well. Joss, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Jocelyn, and I'm a senior at UVU studying sociology. And I'm just really excited to be working with the ACLU and the voting rights campaign.
Yeah, we're super excited to have Jocelyn on board. She's our voting rights and outreach intern. So we'll be with you here Thursdays live on Facebook to answer your questions about voting. So we had some questions submitted beforehand. Joss, you want to just kick us off with what the first question is that we've got?
Yeah, so this one, how do I know if I'm registered to vote? It's pretty important, so we should probably address that.
Totally, that is a great first question. It's a great place to start. So in order to vote in Utah, you've got to be registered. So you're going to want to go to vote.utah.gov, where you can click on, update your registration or register to vote. And you're going to need either your Utah driver's license or the last 4 digits of your social security number. To be able to complete the full process online, you're going to need to use your Utah driver's license number. But if you don't have that, then it'll prompt you to print out a paper form and use the last 4 digits of your social security number to register with that instead. You can also go to your county clerk, look up your county clerk's website, and you can request a paper form from them. Another reliable, trusted group to get registered to vote from is a group called Voterize. They're an amazing local advocacy group, nonprofit here in Utah. You can go to voterize.org and you can register through them as well. So yeah, that's definitely your first step. Make sure you're checking your registration and registering to vote. And I think we had some questions coming in about not just registering, but checking that you are registered. So if you go to vote.utah.gov, you can also just type in your information. It'll ask you for your name, your birthday, your address, and then you can make sure that you're registered to vote at your current address, which is really important. You want to make sure that your address is current and that your voter registration record is accurate. So again, vote.utah.gov is the place to go.
The next question, I guess we already answered, how do I register to vote? This one is actually important though. Who is eligible to vote?
Yeah, totally. That is a really good question. So to be eligible to vote in the state of Utah, you do need to be a United States citizen. You also need to be at least 18 years old on or before the next election. So if you're going to turn 18 on election day, you can still register. You can pre-register now, and you're eligible to vote. You also do need to be a resident of Utah for at least 30 days immediately before the election. So from election day, count back 30 days. You need to be a resident of Utah for those full 30 days, and then you're eligible here. Another question that we get a lot is, if I've been previously incarcerated for a felony conviction, can I still vote? And a lot of states tell people no, that, you can't. But here in Utah, that's not true. So we're trying to get rid of that myth. In Utah, as long as you are not currently incarcerated for a felony conviction specifically, you're able to vote. So if you've been incarcerated in the past for a felony conviction, as soon as you're no longer incarcerated, you're eligible, even on parole or probation. All you have to do is re-register. So you're going to want to check out vote.utah.gov.
Awesome.
And,
we actually have another question from Jackie M. Is it safe to mail my ballot this year, or should I drop it off?
Awesome. Questions are coming in. Yeah, that is a great question. So there's been a lot of talk about, U.S. Postal Service delays. Can I mail my ballot? The answer is yes, you can mail your ballot. However, a lot of people prefer to drop your ballot off at a drop box, and that is a great option. But we are recommending that if you're going to mail your ballot, you mail it as soon as possible. So, you're going to get your ballot in the mail in October. You want to fill it out and then mail it back as soon as you can. If you're nervous at all about mailing your ballot, if it's close to Election Day, you haven't mailed it yet, you can be very sure that your ballot is going to be counted if you take it to a drop box. And you can check out where your Dropbox locations are on your county clerk's website. You can also go to vote.utah.gov, and they'll have information for the whole state there. So yes, it is totally safe to mail your ballot. It's just sort of a best practice to mail it as soon as possible. But the deadline for mailing your ballot is making sure that it's postmarked the day before Election Day. So thanks, Jackie, for this question, because I think that's a really important piece of confusion that's out there right now, especially because here in Utah, for the primary, people were allowed to postmark their ballot on Election Day, but that's changed. For the general election, you're going to want to postmark it the day before Election Day. So the sooner you can mail your ballot, the better. Or you can take it to a Dropbox location up to 8 p.m. on Election Day. So those are kind of your options.
Next question that we have here is, how do we get a mail ballot in Utah?
Yeah, totally a good question. And I'm wondering if this one came up because a lot of folks out there might have received a piece of mail from the U.S. Postal Service saying that they needed to request their absentee ballot. That's actually not true in Utah. So this is something that we wanted to get on here today and make sure folks got the correct info. So in Utah, as long as you are an active registered voter, as long as you have registered to vote by 11 days before Election Day, you will automatically receive a ballot in the mail. So you don't need to request an absentee ballot. As long as you are registered, you will be getting a ballot in the mail. So keep an eye on those mailboxes. And if you don't get your ballot in the mail, that's when you're going to want to call your county clerk, ask what's up, reach out to an organization like the ACLU of Utah. But if you check your voter registration now, you make sure that you're registered to vote and have your current mailing address on file, you should be getting your ballot automatically in the mail. So let's move on to our next question.
All right, we've got a question from Nathan M. Will ACLU Utah be sending poll monitors, and what qualifications are required to be a poll monitor, and are you taking volunteers?
Wow, so this person must have been following the ACLU for a while. So they know that we have sent poll watchers to basically observe the democratic process, make sure that our elections are running smoothly and fairly as they should be. And that's what a poll watcher does. Yes, we are currently taking volunteers for that, especially folks who are lawyers, law students, paralegals. We definitely are in need of you out there to help us poll watch, but anybody can be a voter protection volunteer. You just have to sign up on our website at acluutah.org. So thanks for that question.
All right, another question from Jackie M. When will ballots be sent out?
Great question. Jackie's asking some good questions today. So ballots will be sent starting 21 days before Election Day. So Election Day is November 3rd, so that's around October 13th. So around October 13th, everybody should be checking their mailboxes, keeping an eye out. Hopefully by then you've already checked your voter registration status. You know that your mailing address is up to date. So then all that's left to do is find your ballot come through your mailbox. If we're getting towards the end of October and you haven't gotten your mail ballot, then definitely, you're going to want to reach out to your county clerk, go to vote.utah.gov to find our contact info and making sure that you do get your ballot. But as long as your voter registration address is up to date and on file, then you shouldn't have to worry about that.
All right, cool.
Do you have any more questions?
Yes, we actually have a lot. So what is an active voter versus an inactive voter, and how can I tell if I'm active?
That is a great question. So being an active or an inactive voter is sort of like what the status of your voter registration is. So basically you can be marked as an inactive voter if you haven't voted in the last 2 federal elections or any elections sort of in between those elections. The county clerk might mark you as an active, but the clerk does have to try to sort of send you a letter to ask, hey, are you still living at this address? Are you still wanting to be registered to vote here? So you should be given an opportunity to sort of prevent being marked as inactive, but never fear, even if you have been marked as inactive or you're not sure, you can go to vote.utah.gov again. That's click on check your registration status or look up your voter registration. You're just going to put in your name, I believe it's your birth date, your address. It'll pull up your voter registration record, and you can either, to make sure, if it does say you're marked inactive, you can either submit a new voter registration and you'll be all set, or you can call your county clerk and they'll help you do that. So that's a great question. Again, because active registered voters will be mailed ballots automatically. So another good reason to check your voter registration today.
All right. Another question, do I need a Utah driver's license to register to vote?
Good question. So to register to vote, the information that you're going to be asked for when you fill out your voter registration form is either your Utah driver's license number or the last 4 digits of your social security number. And to register online, you're going to need that Utah driver's license number, but you can print off a paper form online, ask for one to be mailed to you from your county clerk, and you can just fill that out with the last 4 of your social security number, and mail that back or take it into your county clerk's office. So one or the other. Folks who might have just moved here don't have their driver's license yet, but will have fulfilled the 30-day residency requirement by Election Day. You can totally use the last 4 of your social security number instead.
Question from Sydney M. Can we only vote by mail this year?
Sydney M. I wonder who that might be. So great question, Sydney. Vote by mail is great, and that is an option for everybody. And like we said, all active registered voters will be getting their ballot in the mail, but it is not your only option. So we know that we love vote by mail here in Utah. I think as a state, we're really proud that we have it and that we implemented it before the pandemic started. So we're kind of forward thinking in that way. So it's a great way to vote safely from home without having to leave your house, but that doesn't work for everybody. So, you can still vote in person. In fact, your county is required to offer early in-person voting. So in-person voting options before Election Day, and then on Election Day itself, your county is required to provide some in-person voting. They might get a little creative with what that looks like because of the pandemic. So that might be sort of an outdoor voting location. It might be a curbside voting location, or it might be a traditional polling place. But check your county clerk's website. Those should be, your county clerk should be putting that information on their website pretty soon here. You can also go to vote.utah.gov to find out where your polling places will be. They're called vote centers. So yeah, you can vote by mail if that works for you. If it doesn't, if you need a reason to vote, if you have a reason why you need to vote in person, you should have that option available. My little like anecdote that I always share for why I needed to vote in person one year was that somebody spilled water all over my ballot by accident right the day before I was going to mail it back. So, you know, I needed to go vote in person, and there's a lot of reasons why somebody might need to exercise that option. So, good question, Sydney.
Here's one about, it says, what about students going to school out of state?
It's another really good question. So, if you're a student, you basically what you need to do is decide where is your primary residence. So, you're allowed to vote at whatever you consider your primary residence to be. And if that's back in your home state, then you're going to want to remain registered there and vote likely by absentee ballot. But if you're here and you in Utah and you consider Utah being your primary residence, and you'll fulfill all the other requirements for voting, then you can register to vote and vote here in Utah. You just can't vote in both places. So does that make sense? Like you have to pick one or the other and register at just one of those places to vote, whether that be here at your school address or, you know, back in your original home state. So kind of up to you. You got to determine what your primary residence is.
Well,
another good question.
It looks like we don't have any more questions coming in unless anyone else has any last minute ones they want to add.
Cool. Yeah, those are really good questions. I think that, you know, really what's important for people to remember right now is to be checking your voter registration status at vote.utah.gov. That's kind of, you know, ballots haven't been mailed yet. They'll be mailed in October. And so what you can do right now today is check your voter registration status, talk to your friends and family members, you know, tell them to check their voter registration status too. So that's how we can be proactive about standing up for our voting rights. So I just moved, so I had to change my voter registration address. That's another, I think, good piece of info for people to realize now, is that every time you move, you have to re-register at your new address. So again, you can do that at vote.utah.gov and make sure that you're going to get your ballot in time. So, all right, well, I think that we haven't had any more questions come in, but we'll be doing this every Thursday as we approach Election Day, which is November 3rd. Again, vote.utah.gov is a great place for information. And we'll be posting the link here on our Facebook for how you can submit questions for us to answer next time, live next Thursday. And yeah, looking forward to talking about voting every week.